Hi everyone, and thanks for watching. I'm Melissa the Naughty Witch, and today I wanted to talk about mental magic. And before we go into all of that, I wanted to make a couple of little what I'm up to now kind of announcements. Also, to remind you, I do have a tarot special going on. It lasts through March 10th. It's for all of Mercury retrograde. I will put a link down below. 5-card reading for $25. Be sure to take advantage of that while it's still going on. And also, I have been tossing around the idea of doing a podcast because personally I'm a bigger fan of podcasts than I am videos here recently, especially just because I've been so busy. It's challenging, to watch and really pay attention to a video when you have so many things that you're doing, and I just really enjoy podcasts. So, yeah, I'm going to start a podcast. There'll be more coming up about that soon, probably next week, and I will be uploading if I can. I've never done any of this before. I will probably, hopefully, be uploading my podcast to YouTube, so it won't, you'll still be able to access it here if this is the only way, you access my content. But I'll also make sure I put plenty of links and stuff, and I'll still be doing videos, so I'm not going to just totally get rid of my YouTube channel or anything. Anyway, it's just something I want to play with and see. Let me know what you think about what you prefer, podcasts or videos, in the comments below. I'd really be interested in hearing what you have to say about that. So I am wanting to talk about mental magic, and what I mean by mental magic is casting spells using only your mind. For me, I first started doing something like this way back in the day. It was the late 90s. I remember it well. I had picked up a book by Silver Ravenwolf, and I can't remember, y'all, which book it was. I've read all of her stuff, and it was so long ago. I can't remember if it was Teen Witch or To Stir a Magic Cauldron. And it could have been one of the others, but I think it was one of those. Anyway, she one of the things she said in the first part of the book is to practice. She really encouraged you to practice by just doing these things in your mind. Not setting up a physical altar, not casting physically, but to do that for so many days. And of course, I was very new and knew no one else that was a witch in my little small, southern town. So, of course, I did, exactly what she said to do, because, that was the expert that I was reading. So, but yeah, I found that, at the time when I first started to do that, because, Silver said to, that's what I was going to do. I don't think it made the impact immediately on me how much it really helped my practice. It was farther down the road when I started an online coven with Michael Blackthorne, the Deviant Witch. And that's, it was an online coven. This is way before YouTube, Facebook. I think this was still like MySpace days. And so there was no video, chats or anything like that. We had a chat room. I believe it was on his website. And so the only way we could really do things as a coven that was an online coven was to do things in the astral plane, to create a space in our minds that, we would perform these spells. And that's really, I think, when it really hit home how much that helped my practice. And I have to say a little shout out to the Deviant Witch. No joke, I have learned so much with him and from him for so long, y'all, so long. And now that I've been, practicing for a couple of decades, and I look back at the things that we were doing back then, I'm like, damn, we really, we're kind of, I feel like in a way, kind of ahead of the curve. And not to say, oh, how awesome we are, which we are awesome, but Not that. It's just that I didn't realize, because it's kind of coming all around, back around, in my opinion. People are starting to appreciate things like that more nowadays. Because Matt Aron in The Psychic Witch had talked about this as well, and I was just like, wow, wow, look at the stuff we used to do. And not that the stuff that we're doing now is not amazing, because it is, but it just kind of, takes me back a little, and I'm just like, wow, we kind of did know what we were doing, even though at the time we were like, we have no fucking clue what we're doing. We're just gonna see if this works. So, but yeah, that's what we did. We built an astral temple, and that is where we would do our spells. We described it because, like, again, this is way before video chat or anything like that, but we would describe it to each other, what we felt like we wanted it to look like, and that is what we created. And we would cast spells there, and y'all, they weren't, unsuccessful. We had successful spells, and we had some that kind of petered out and didn't do as well, but like everyone. But we were doing stuff, and it was amazing, and I really appreciated it more at that time. But yeah, and even to this day, I still do this. I still have my own little astral space. It doesn't look anything like it used to. It's changed so much over the years. But I mean, of course, we evolve. So, of course, things like that are also going to evolve with us. But I create a place, and I can see every detail, and I can smell the way it smells. I can feel the way the wind feels, and I know what it feels like to be in that space, to have access to anything, because it is, something I'm creating, so I can put whatever the hell I want in there, and yeah, whenever I first started out, I think it was like, I can't remember if she said to do it for 30 days silver, or if she said to do it for a year and a day. I really can't remember at this point. But I want to say, if it was a year and a day, I probably only did it for like 30 days. So, but yeah, that's what I would do. I would write down a spell that I wanted to try, and I would, mentally cast that spell, and I would envision everything, the way the candle felt, if I was using a candle, the ingredients I used, the smells, everything was like it was really there. And it really helps in so many ways. You get to feel the difference in casting a spell using only the power of your mind and sending it out there, and making sure that it is detailed and vivid and all-encompassing. It helps with casting spells in the physical. Whenever I'm casting a spell physically and gathering the ingredients and using it, whenever I raise energy, I don't think I would have been able to raise energy as well if I hadn't first practiced it. Got to ran together. In my mind, if I hadn't first practiced that action, because everything, well, for me, everything is way more dramatic, way more inventive and creative, and just, all the Hollywood effects in my brain, that's what I'm seeing. And, I let my imagination really go wild with it. So it was a lot easier to enact that physically, because I knew what it felt like. I knew what it should look like to raise energy and then send that spell out to, cause my environment to conform with my will, right? And in order for my will to be heard, I felt like it had to be very solid. That imagery had to be very solid in order for it to get out there, especially when you're just using your mind. That's what you've got. So, excuse me, y'all. So, yeah, that was, that's something that really helped me with my spell casting, and I was able to envision things so much better. because that's all I was doing, was envisioning and raising energy and sending it out. And it also helps with like programming things now. Like if I take a rock that I found that has its own energy, but it may not have like it may not, I may not know what kind of rock it is because I'm just picking it up off the ground. I don't know what attributes or correspondences are connected to that piece of stone, but I can connect with it, and I can send in my own uh, energy to charge it, to enchant it, And I don't think I would be as good at that now if I hadn't done things that way then. So when you find yourself in a space where you feel like you can't do anything physically, great. That is not a problem. Do things mentally. Whatever, write down a spell, get your book of shadows out, write down exactly how you would do it in the physical plane, and then do that. Do that in your brain, set up your altar space. You can have it look exactly like your physical world. If you were allowed to do those things in your living space, or it can look like the potions classroom from Hogwarts. It doesn't matter. That's your own space in your mind that you are using, so you can make it whatever you want. It doesn't matter what it looks like. So, but yeah, and it also helps me. I I felt like it helped me be a lot more comfortable working in kind of a trance-like state. Whenever, excuse me, again, y'all, my sinuses are still kind of, ugh. But whenever I would, or whenever I cast a spell, I talk about the spell zone. I think I've talked about these in past videos. But to me, that spell zone is, I feel like I need to be in between worlds, and a lot of people talk about this whenever in books that talk about magic, that in between space in which you cast spells. You're 1 foot here, 1 foot in the other, in the spiritual world, alternate dimension, the astral, whatever you want to call it. But learning to cast spells with using only my mind and my thoughts and my visions help me to be able to do that while I'm casting in the physical. Whenever I am doing whatever I'm doing, creating an oil blend or what have you, I'm picturing it in my mind, as well as, I'm seeing the energies from those oils, those different oils, as certain representations in my mind. I kind of do that with everything, just about, in a way. But I'm a very visual person. So, yeah, it really helps. It really, all that practice that I've had in the past has helped me be a better witch. And to me, my spells are a lot more successful, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I have the physical elements for the spell or not. If I can envision it, I can do it. And I'm sure that a lot of people may not be keen on it. There was a time in my practice when I felt like I really needed to have these exact things to do something specific. And while, yes, I still feel like rosemary cannot be used for everything, like, I'm sorry, that's just the way I feel about it, because I've worked with that plant and it has very specific energy. I also feel like it is, that is very different from using things in the astral plane or in your mind palace, or whatever you want to call it. I feel like, for me, I would use exactly what I would use in the physical world. I wouldn't use something that doesn't exist, like a phoenix feather or something, you know. It was very practical while still very imaginative. I hope that makes sense. And, you know, this is coming from a Capricorn, so take that with, you know, take that how you will. But yeah, that was, you know, that was the way, and it's still the way I utilize that space. You know, I may not have access to those ingredients in the real world. If it's something exotic that's hard to get or something really expensive, you know, I probably won't use it. But in the astral, I can use whatever, you know. So yeah, you are not limited. So definitely don't limit yourself, and make sure you write it down. You know, make sure you are keeping up with your book of shadows or magical journal, grimoire, or whatever you call it. Make sure you're writing what you're doing down, and really take a look at how it affects you and how it affects your magic, and if it works, if it doesn't work. If you are not limited right now in the way you can practice, and you've never cast a spell with, you know, in this way, just using your mind, I think you should totally try it out. Just see how different it is, see how it feels, compare, see if it works, you know. Just kind of experiment with it, and I really do feel like it will improve your practice and improve your spell casting. You know, a lot of times it's like, I don't have time, I'm tired, don't have the ingredients, you know, I don't have access to them, or I don't want to get up and go to Walmart at 2 in the morning, or, you know, Target, or wherever, whatever you have there. Fine, don't get up and go out. Don't, you know, just sit down someplace and cast that mentally. You know, do it mentally, create your space, and practice your spell work that way. I mean, it takes, you'd be surprised at how fast it goes. You know, you think, well, but you will have done this for a really long time. You've been there for like 20-30 minutes, and you come out of your little session, and it's only been 5 minutes. You know, it goes surprisingly fast. It also helps with your meditation, and having that meditation practice strong, and you know, keeping it going, which is a really important part of witchcraft in my opinion. So alrighty, y'all, I think that's it. I hope this benefits you. Excuse me again, y'all. I just can't get this tickle going, but I hope that it inspires you to not let limitations stop you if you can't do certain things where you're at, if you're not out, you know, if you're not an out witch, if, you know, you have to hide what you do, or if you're extremely limited, you know, use that brain. Do it. Cast them mentally. See what happens. Write it down. You know, explore that option, even if you are unlimited in what you can do. It is really a very fun and, I don't know, completely expressive, creative way to do things. And like I said, I think it really does help your practice. So again, I hope that you're inspired by this, and I hope you have a fabulous day. And remember to always stay in your magic, loves. Bye.